sidewalk looks, faded from age, but then you'll see these bright spots, and that's the areas that they've planed the sidewalk down. So far, they have done everything from Holly Street east to Washington, and from Jefferson to 412. And then I'll talk about. I was going to give you a little update, just a brief update on what to be expected in 2021. But since I just brought that up, they will finish out the north side of 412. They will go from Washington all the way to Progress and from Sherry Whitlock to 412. And then we'll start focusing on the south side of 412. The next two slides I'll show are side paths that were put in. These were done by contractors. It was the same contractor actually. But this particular picture is on Holly Street from 412 to Tulsa. This is on the east side. It's by Arvest Bank. And I'm standing near Tulsa Street looking back to the south. It's kind of hard to tell in that picture exactly where this is, but this is the one that runs next to Arvest Bank up there. And then this one is on 412 from Hampton Street, where Bank of the Ozarks is, and then going all the way to Progress. And I'm standing on the west side of this project looking back toward Progress. These were both 8-foot side paths. The one on Highway 412 to Tulsa was 500 feet. This one in this picture actually is from Hampton Street to Progress. This one was 530 feet. And that's all the pictures I have of the 2020 projects. But like I said, I was going to give you just a quick update on 21. Obviously, we're working on Kenwood, so we'll finish that project. And like I said, we'll finish it around August. When the crew is finished with that, they will move over to Villaview, and they will rebuild the street from Sycamore Heights to just before the state line to the west. There's a house on the left side of the street. We'll go just past their driveway, and we'll call it done there. Then they will go from Sycamore Heights east to Dogwood, and they'll overlay that stretch of Villaview, and there'll be an 8-foot side path on the south side of the street, which will connect the bike lane on Dogwood to the what do you call it, the head of the bike trail that's north of the wastewater plant. And then the last one, and we may end up having to contract this because we'll see what kind of time we have to do it in-house, but it'll be a fog seal of Sherry Whitlock Parkway from Mount Olive to Dogwood. And a fog seal is the same as what we did on Mount Olive from Sherry Whitlock up to Tahlequah just 2 years ago now. So it'll look like that. It'll rejuvenate the pavement and bring it back to good condition. And then of course we'll restripe it. On sidewalks, there's a big one. There's Washington. It'll go down Washington Street from 412 to Lake Francis, and then turn and head toward the railroad tracks to the west, and meet up with the side path that's on Lake Francis now. And then sidewalk repairs I just mentioned. There's of those ones I was talking about from Sherry Whitlock to 412 and from Washington to Progress, that'll amount to 119 repairs and just under 7.5 sidewalk miles of sidewalk that'll get fixed. So with that, staff is available for any questions, and I'd like to take this moment too to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Board? I'll just tell you what, I remember my mother tripped on the sidewalk out on Tulsa in front of what was the elementary school at that time, or whatever it is, high school, I guess, on Tulsa Street there behind Atwoods and what have you like that. Some young boys were playing soccer, and they helped pick her up and get her with Kathy and to get her home. And you don't realize how, and the one she tripped on wasn't big. But at certain ages you don't pick your feet up as well as maybe you do. You're not looking down because you expect to be able to step out. But those patches, those that are planed down, they look good. It looks like an aggregate shiny. And when they're first done, they shine out, and they're really nice. And I've noticed them all over town. It seems like wherever I walk, and I don't trip over the one or two that I used to trip over either. So thank you, Steve, and your crew for their getting that done.
Welcome.
Board, yes, Brad.
Hey, Steve, I just want to remind folks, and I think I shared this with Philip towards the first of the year in Meadowlark. We just had some complaints on some of the sunken potholes. And I received an email, forwarded to the city administrator, short conversation, and a little bit of patience, and then 80 feet is a lot more than a pothole. And so, and that's happened several times over the past years. It takes time because they're a little bit more significant than people understand.
Mm-hmm.
Just specifically from Ward 2, from some of our older neighborhoods that went in and things like that, I know the city is addressing them. And I just want to encourage folks, your emails aren't forgotten. They're there. The city works on them. And I appreciate you guys getting on that, because that was put in kind of the same time Bellevue has with the same issue. So I appreciate you digging a little deeper to get that base set in, because in the long term, that's going to save us money. So thanks again, and enjoy the working in the winter, the crew. They looked very happy here recently outside.
Yeah, didn't they?
Thank you, Steve, for the update. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Is there a possibility that I could get a written kind of an outline of what you have scheduled?
Certainly.
Okay, and that goes along with our plan, the street plan and the sidewalk plan, or not?
Yeah, that's all in the street and sidewalk plan, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And along with what is scheduled, if you could just give us that rundown in writing of what you just said has been done over the last year.
Right.
It's impressive. You've done a lot of work this last year, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate the report on it. As you were mentioning some of the streets, I was trying to picture in my head, okay, now where is that? And so if you could just give us that
sure.
overview of what you've done, that'd be great.
Since you brought that up, in 2021, it'll be probably around July, because that's the last time the board adopted it. But the street and sidewalk maintenance and repair master plan was adopted in 2018, and in that plan it said every 3 years that it would come back to the board, because we would update the next 3 years. So what you're talking about is in that plan.
Yes, but even just what you've just done
Yeah.
this past year, that would be helpful, I
Sure.
think. Just as when we're talking to people out there and
Yeah.
things are said about streets, it's just helpful to remind them every once in a while. And I think Hayden has provided some of that information as well.
You get me up today about that.
Yeah. So one or the other of you, if that's
Oh, I can just send you what I read off.
perfect.
Of, so.
Yep, that's all.
All
That's
right.
all I need. Thank you.
Hmm?
Anyone else before he escapes? All right. Thank you, Steve. Oh, did you? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Board. So I apologize, I have a fairly long administrator's report. It is the end of the year. So I'm going to give some data points of things that staff has done throughout the year that you don't normally hear about. But before I do that, I do have a electrical expenditure in the electrical department to report. We had pad mount switchgear and general inventory line extensions in the purchase of $40,280.63. The November sales tax numbers are in. For the month of November compared to the same time last year, we are up 19%. For year to date, for the city sales tax, we're up just under 14%. And for the county, we're up 12% on the month, and for the year to date, we're up 8%. As many of you know, as the governor has pointed out in his various public addresses to the state, our COVID numbers remain high. As of the 14th of December, the statewide numbers were up to total confirmed and probable cases of over 187,000. Total active and probable cases were almost 20,700. To date, over 1,000 people have been hospitalized, 180 have been on ventilators, and the total confirmed and probable deaths related to COVID statewide are almost 3,000. As of December 7th, our 14-day average for number of cases per 10,000 population, we dropped on the list of 8 cities that I've been following. We dropped to 6th, but we are still at 54 new cases per 10,000 people in the city. On November the 30th, we were at 35. On November the 23rd, we were at 45. So we did drop a little bit, but then we ramped back up as of the 7th of December. On the total number of cases in Siloam Springs to date, we are at almost 1,300, 1,272, which would be almost 75 cases per 1,000 population in the city. So the numbers are still high. I still encourage everybody to wear your mask, do your social distancing. We are coming up on Christmas as just like in Thanksgiving, and it's a tough time to not see your relatives and be around your family, but I think we all need to continue to try to practice the social distancing and all of the hygiene recommendations from the state and the CDC. At the city level, I think overall we had a good year from the standpoint of COVID, but after Thanksgiving we got hit a little harder than we had seen pretty much all year long. For my year-end snapshot numbers, I'll just run through these fairly quickly, but I just want to give you some ideas about the other things that staff has been doing throughout the year. In the sanitation department, based on our recycling program, throughout the year we saved over $55,000 in tipping fees rather than taking that recycling material to the landfill. It was an equivalent of 93 semi-loads of trash. So our numbers, we saved money by not taking that recycled materials and putting it in the trash. The water wastewater services team has set almost 400 new water meters and completed over 2,700 locates throughout the year. The Code Enforcement Division dealt with over 2,400 cases regarding animal control, property maintenance, and nuisance. The library hosted 178 in-house programs and 88 virtual programs in 2020 and included over 9,000 attendees at those programs. Our Parks Division won two awards in 2020 from the Arkansas Recreation and Parks Association. We won the Facility of the Year for over $500,000 for Memorial Park and Chautauqua Amphitheater. And our City Lake Park won the Natural Surface Trail Award. Due to the COVID pandemic, our Parks Department had to cancel 15 different programs and 6 summer day camps. However, we created some online programs at-home fort building, the Sidewalk Chalk Challenge, bingo, and virtual yoga, and all those programs were very successful from the online participation. Our building division issued over 1,100 building, electrical, HVAC, and plumbing permits this year. They conducted over 4,000 inspections of those various components. We issued 105 new business licenses throughout the year. And our new building facilities coordinator installed almost 200 feet of COVID-related barriers, the plexiglass barriers through the city. It was very, very productive from the standpoint, and I want to thank you as a board that you approved the building facilities position some time ago, because we didn't have anybody on staff, would not have had anybody on staff to deal with that issue when that came along, when COVID came along, and we did all of that in-house. The electric department has installed over 270 new electric meters in 2020. They dealt with repairing over 420 street lights and security lights, installed the 45 new light poles along 412 that were damaged during last year's storm. They installed over 15,000 linear feet of overhead high voltage conductors, over 27,000 square feet of underground high voltage, and over 28,000 square feet of underground service wire. The fire department responded to just under 1,000 calls, fire-related calls, and over 2,000 EMS calls in 2020 to date. They had a total hours of training of over 23,000 hours of training. For the police department, our total crime clearance rate for 2020 to date is 83.2%, which is extremely high. On the drugs and narcotics arrest clearance rate, that's at 95%. Our stolen property reports to the police department have decreased 4% from last year. Vandalism and criminal mischief incidents has decreased by 7.1%, and breaking and entering has decreased by 25.5% compared to last year. The Human Resources Department oversaw the purchase of literally thousands of gloves, masks, and everything related to COVID, and dealt with trying to keep up with the CDC regulations of quarantine and isolation, and did an extremely remarkable job in doing that and keeping us in hand sanitizer and mask and all the wonderful things that we have come to love in 2020. Our finance department oversaw the issuance of the $31 million bond issue for the water treatment plant, and has managed the application of the CARES Act reimbursement, which was extremely difficult. I haven't heard horror stories from our staff, but I heard horror stories from other cities that the overseers of the CARES money, the distribution of that money, were telling cities exactly what to say, how many spaces to put in there between sentences. No, that word won't work. It has to read this way. They were very, very picky, and we passed that process with flying colors. In the IT department, they've supported 55 physical servers and virtual servers, 256 computers, and have done a wonderful job keeping us together as far as our electronics go. And as you can see, I have a new microphone that works. As far as the staff goes in 2020, we all know it's been a very, very difficult year. COVID created problems that we never saw coming. We had to close city facilities at times. We had to limit the number of participants in this boardroom and at other city events. We had to have people working from home. We had to set up the IT system to have those people to be able to work from home. We required social distancing, required the wearing of masks. But what I want you to know as a board and as the public, I want the public to know that our staff worked extremely well and very hard to get everything done that we did this year. We have an extremely great staff, and every member of staff worked hard to make sure that we didn't miss a step while we were dealing with COVID if we didn't have to. We had to put people in quarantine, we had to put people in isolation, but I think overall we had a very successful year, and if we missed a beat, it was just one beat. We still got a lot of stuff done in the middle of that pandemic. And I want to congratulate staff and thank them for their hard work, and I want you to know how hard they worked for you as a board and for the residents of this city. And with that, I'll have a couple of last things to talk about. I'd like to say a few words to Mr. Coleman, if I may. Director Coleman, you've been a board member since 2013, and While I don't want to go through all your accomplishments, I do have a couple of things I want to say. I got hired in 2015, and not long after that hiring, one of the first things I heard you direct staff to do was dig a big hole. And we did. And we started the library. We broke ground on the new library not long after that comment. And you were out there with the shovel. And the best part of that day wasn't necessarily seeing you with that shovel. It was seeing the kids come out with their own shovel who wanted to help with that groundbreaking ceremony and get that new library started. And I think that was huge. And in my 30 years of doing this job, doing jobs like this, and having groundbreakings for new city facilities, I never saw a group of kids come out with their own shovels and want to break ground for something. And I just thought that was amazing. The other thing I remember early in 2015 was you mentioning your staff. You're the only board member I ever knew that had their own staff. As a matter of fact, she's here tonight. You made her come. You had to make her come. As a board member and as a resident, Director Coleman, you've given back to this community in more ways than most people will ever know. And that selflessness and that generosity is greatly appreciated on all levels by not only myself, but by staff and by the residents of this community. However, in your honor, we have submitted a proposal to the Financial Accounting Standards Board to rename unqualified audit reports to the Bob Coleman Audit Report, because we know how much you like those reports. We're going to miss seeing you on the first and third Mondays or Tuesdays of the month, but trust me, we'll be thinking about you, and this is going to be the image that we have in our minds when we think about you. And if it's not that, sir, it's going to be this one.
Yeah, and it'll be soon too, trust me.
From city staff, Bob, Director Coleman, we thank you for your dedication to the city and your years of service.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, you're not going to get off easy. You've dedicated the last 14 years to serving the city of Siloam Springs. Most of us here are old enough to remember the show Gilligan's Island. And you know that the skipper was a mighty sailing man, brave and sure. You've been the skipper of this board, Mayor Turner, for the last 8 years. And when the weather's been rough and the city's tiny ship was tossed, your courage and leadership prevented the city and the board of directors from being lost. Now, I'm not saying you necessarily sailed the city and the board through rough weather without any scratches on your ship, but you did lead the board and this city on a fateful trip, and you did so without sinking the ship. I talked to a lot of people about you in general, and some likened you to Samson. We couldn't really figure out if it was your superhuman strength or if it was just your hair. And with that, Mr. Mayor, Communications Manager Holland Hayden would like to speak and say a few words.
That was in Branson. That was in Branson. I remember that picture, yeah.
For the last 7 years, I've had the pleasure of helping write scripts for park openings, ribbon cuttings, and for more, just for you, Mayor Turner. And for those last 7 years, those scripts have largely gone ignored. Except those times when the mayor delightfully announced, Holland told me to stick to the script, which was almost every single time. It's been my honor, and I was happy to write scripts for you, and I just wanted to also let you know that I have your daughter here on FaceTime with you, so thank you.
I hope that Callie's feeling better. She's been under the weather.
She looks like she's feeling better.
Good.
Mr. Mayor, I also have a couple of other things to present to you and read to you. I have here in my hands a letter from the Arkansas Municipal League to announce that you, at the winter conference in January of 2021, they will be announcing lifetime members of the Arkansas Municipal League, and you are on that list. Congratulations. And that is based on your service not only to the city but to the Arkansas Municipal League. And with that, I have a proclamation from Mark Hayes, the Executive Director of the Arkansas Municipal League. Whereas John Mark Turner was elected in 2006 to serve on the Board of Directors for the City of Siloam Springs, replacing the position previously held by his wife, Kathy. And whereas Mayor Turner served as a board member for the City of Siloam Springs for 6 years, contributing to the city's wastewater system upgrade and helping to grow the city's park and recreation options. And whereas Mayor Turner ran for the position of mayor in 2012 and has served Siloam Springs in that capacity for the past 8 years, and whereas Mayor Turner served on the cities of the large first-class advisory council from 2013 to 2019, and as the league's District Number 3 vice president in 2019 and 2020, and whereas Mayor Turner has displayed his dedication to the community of Siloam Springs through his professionalism, devotion, efficiency, and integrity, and now for the Arkansas Municipal League proclaims our appreciation to Mayor John Mark Turner for his service and dedication to the community of Siloam Springs and for his service to the Arkansas Municipal League. And then, in addition to that, I have a letter from Steve Womack that he has asked me to read into the record on your behalf. Congressman Steve Womack, Dear Mayor Turner, I am pleased to recognize your successful 8-year tenure as the mayor of Siloam Springs, following 6 years as a member of the board of directors. Under your leadership, the city has thrived, and I have enjoyed many visits to the area to see the progress being made. Some of the projects that highlight your time as mayor include the construction of the new Siloam Springs Public Library, the opening of the new hospital, and the $31 million bond issuance for the water treatment plant upgrades. You have admirably performed your duties and served your community with distinction. As a former mayor myself, I know how difficult the job can be, and in my opinion, you rose to meet those challenges. Perhaps the greatest compliment I can give is that you proved to be a worthy successor to the civic legacy of former Siloam Springs Mayor Moose Van Poot. It is my honor to represent you in Congress, and if I can ever be of assistance, please don't hesitate to call me. Mr. Mayor, staff got together, and we got you a thank you card for your years of service, and they would like to give that card to you tonight. It's just a small card.
Just a small card. All right. Thank you. You didn't sign it. Oh, it's open. It opens wide open.
Oh, my.
Aw.
So that is signed by staff.
It's so nice.
So
See that, Callie? Feeling better? And just give me a thumbs up if you feel, okay. I hope Alfie's behaving.
Hi, Callie.
Director Coleman and Mayor Turner, both of you have had a hand in shaping this city over the last 8 years, and you've proven that you care very deeply about this community, and you've made positive differences in the lives of Siloam Springs residents. And don't ever forget that. City staff wishes to thank you both for your dedication and your service, and we wish you the best. And with that, Mr. Mayor, we wish everybody a very safe and joyous Merry Christmas and a very safe and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you, staff. I didn't prepare a statement tonight before I turned this over for director reports. I didn't prepare one. As you all probably know, I've spent time in Dallas with my, due to the death of my brother Murray. Anybody like to see probably the best obituary you've ever seen. Give me your email address or send it to me or request, and I'll send it to you, because I'm telling you what, Murray always claimed he got the looks and the talent, and when you go through this obit, you're going to realize that he did too. Yeah, I never agreed with him. I never consented to that, but thank you for the patience of me not being around and what have you like that, board, and stepping in where either did have to do something or thought you were going to have to, maybe in case I wasn't here. As for regard to the role of the mayor and the city administrator form of government, I don't believe that there's a better form of government, especially for a city of our size, that is out there. And it's real hard to be mayor here, because they've got to try to make sure you stay out of the way of staff as they do their jobs. And this staff is so dedicated. It just amazes me over the how many years have I been? 14 years I've been there, and 8 years as mayor. That one of the things that I can remember as much as anything is when we bring new staff into department head positions or whatever it might be. After they've been with the city for a while, I hear the comment, I've never worked in the city before where the departments cooperated with each other as well as they did in Siloam Springs. They do things for them. They share equipment. They share share staff. And it's all because I believe they love this city as much as we do on this board in our capacity as board of directors. You all are amazing staff. Amazing, I'm telling you. And I've never, if you complain, I don't hear it. I'm sure there are some complaints and some grudges. I mean, because some of that's hard work, especially with the different departments. They have to bow to the weather and just the rock and where they need to be digging something, and some of them get to play with explosives sometimes because of that, and maybe that's a plus. But I think Philip would. Hopefully Philip would echo this, that he has a staff that is second to none. And I'm going to tell you what, citizens and board, we have a city administrator that is second to none. There is no doubt in my mind. That's one of the proudest moments of my life, was to be able to put together, at the will of this board, a committee to find a new city administrator. And we hit a home run. We hit a home run, folks. And don't forget that. I'm going to be here. Everybody says they'll come back to board meetings. I don't know if I'll come back to any board meetings. Kathy's already starting to fill out the calendar where we're going to be going with our little 1978 Airstream that we have. So if we can get the thing fixed where we can carry water and what have you, we got that all busted on us some while back. So anyway, but it's been a pleasure. But I never dreamed that I would ever be in politics. No way, shape, or form. Even more so than Kathy. Kathy ran for the board, and that was just her personality did not match up for being out in the public and doing that. She'll tell you that's just not something she likes to do. But she did a great job 4 years training me to be her fill-in, and I know hopefully I did a good enough job during those 6 years. But thank you, Kathy. I don't think she's watching. We just got back from Dallas here about 4 o'clock and something. She had to go get dogs and what have you like that. So she's probably already asleep because my salad's waiting for me when I get home. But I like to think that I have been successful in some people's eyes, because of what I see in our board, and that is, you love Siloam Springs. And it's more about Siloam Springs than it is about yourselves. Don't ever forget that. Please, don't ever forget that. There's only 2 of us that are homegrown here. I believe I'm right in that, Marla. Or were you homegrown? I thought you were. I think you're it. Are you homegrown, Lisa? I didn't realize that. I apologize for that. I didn't know you. I'm closer to Marla's age. Yeah, I'm
Stephen
Stay on
Trevor.
speak.
Wow.
I don't, I mean, I'm closer to, I remember her in school. No, she's not near as old as I am,
Thank
so,
you.
not near as old as I am. But, no, and there's fewer and fewer of us around that are homegrown. And, we can remember some things, and there's been a lot of changes. And there's been very few changes that I'd want to go back. And this is a tremendous town. I sell it every place I go, and I'm proud to do so. And when I tell people, say, "Oh, I've been to Siloam Springs," when? Well, it's been 12 years ago, 15 years ago. I said, you wouldn't drop, if we dropped you in the middle of Siloam Springs, you wouldn't recognize it. Well, how about 10 years? No, 10 years. In the last 10 years, you would hardly recognize it with some of the things that this board has approved and our staff has accomplished. So if I'd written something, I probably would have been a little bit shorter, but
Wouldn't have stayed on script.
I wouldn't have stayed on script, even if I wrote it. I remember at the Memorial Park opening, our dedication for that, the groundbreaking, I guess it was, and we talked about it. Maybe it's just an announcement. One of the gentlemen from the construction company said, "Never follow the mayor, never follow the mayor." So I cut into his time, but it's been an honor, it's been a privilege, and it's been fun most of the time. And I'd recommend it to anybody trying to run for this board. This board is, like I say, the way our city is set up, the job is really easier than it is with some of the others. And I think because it makes for a more efficient organization. But and again, I thank Philip for creating an atmosphere with the staff that they want to serve this city as much as this board who is elected to do it. And I'm going to leave one thing for the challenge to this board. I don't know how you do this, but in November and whenever it's election time, the one thing that just bothers me is signs. We just get and it's not Siloam's problem. This is every place. But boy, I'd like to see less signs and have them down. I won in 2012 by 66%, and I had 3 opponents. There were 4 of us running. You know how many signs I put out? Nada. I didn't put one single sign in this city for when I ran for mayor. And there were a lot of signs out there. But I knocked on more doors than anybody did, I guarantee, physically. Knocked on doors. We've never had anybody come by here. Well, I didn't live in your ward before, but now that I'm going to be asking to represent you, knock on those doors, board. Just give the people a chance. But I know it's not going to happen. The signs just wear me out. And I'm not being critical of any particular board member or past member or current member or future member. It's just one of those things that I wish we could do without, but it's part of American way anymore, I think so. And I shouldn't leave on a positive, a negative note, I suppose. And I'm going to miss saying "Woo Pig Suey" at least once in a good way, twice a month or something like that. So I'm going to get down and get off my post here, and I'm going to start. I was originally going to start with someone else and change it, but I've changed it. I'm going to change the order, and we're going to start with Mindy, because your order is thrown out anyway. Okay. And so and I'm going to give Director Coleman the last word, and he can do whatever he would like to do with that. But I have enjoyed the time I've spent with all 7 of you all. Some of you a little bit more. Carol was on the board whenever I started, and your new mayor, Judy Nation, was on the board at the time, and I think that you were. Yes, you were. Yeah. And as your new mayor, she's going to do a fantastic job. She won't run and ramble like I do. In Holland, I suspect she'll stay on script. I really do. So but I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, she's jokingly said that, but I think she kind of expects me to step away from script on occasion. So I've always told her, just give me some bullet points and let me run from there. And she said, I know, I know, I've figured that one out. So it's been an honor and a privilege, and something that I wish everybody would at some point in time think about running for the government and on this board to do something with this city. So I'll finish with a little bit whenever I adjourn us, Mindy. So I'll stop right there. Thank you, and thank you for that card. That is awesome. That's awesome for that staff. Thank you very much, Mindy.
Well, thank you, Mayor Turner, for your 8 plus 6 years of service to the city, and I imagine there was some service to the city even before those official years of service, so I appreciate that. Same to you, Director Coleman. Both directly related to city service and indirectly related to city service. You've served the city well. So thank you to both of you. We'll miss having you around every first and third Tuesday of the month. Lots of thank yous and congratulations. Congratulations to Philip and the staff for the good report, year-end report, snapshot. Lots of good things going on. It's easy sometimes to forget how much work goes into running a city. It's easy sometimes to focus on what we don't have and what we haven't done rather than what we do have and what we have done. And there's been a lot of that despite a chaotic, crazy year. That just made the challenge greater, but you rose to the occasion, and I appreciate that. Congratulations to Heritage League on a well-done parade and such a unique idea that I understand no one really expected to go over as well as it did. I live right on the parade route and was driving home from Fayetteville that night about 5:30 and called my husband, and he said, I don't know what's going on, but there's people lined up in front of our house. I don't know. I said, oh no, that's the parade. I may never get home. I didn't have any problem getting home. Got back out about 7:30 and we were able to enjoy the parade ourselves. Saw Santa and Mrs. Claus at the end of the parade, probably very cold by that time, but they were sticking it out, as were several other parade participants. So great job to the Heritage League for such a great idea, and to the city staff for coming on board and making sure that happened. Thanks to the street department for all the work you've done, for all the work you're planning to do. It's a never-ending job, I know. Job security, right? Let's see. Congratulations to the retirees that we honored tonight. Thank you for their years of service. About 75 plus years combined that we saw tonight. So that's wonderful. Looking forward to having the new judge, A.J. Anglin, on board. So congratulations to him and the work that he has ahead of him. We're excited to have him on board. And finally, thank you to Robin Lundstrom for the gifts to you all, especially the one in honor of, or that will go toward Deck the House. We're real excited about that. So that gave us the opportunity to raise the award amounts a little bit for this year and start with some money for next year. And from what I understand, we've got about 100 plus houses signed up for this contest. So I'm really excited about that. Talked to my parents today about taking them out next week to look at the houses. Wanted to kind of wait until most of them were on board, and we'll go do the tour. So I'm excited. Thank you, Holland and other city staff, for making that happen. Oh, and one more thing. Downtown decorations. Wow. Looks awesome. My 21-year-old son called me the other day, said, have you seen the decorations downtown? He lives in an apartment right across from Memorial Park. And I said, no, I actually haven't driven that way. I usually go out Sherry Whitlock, so I made a point of driving that way, and wow, really, really neat. Who knew that Memorial Park would be used that way too? But to hear appreciation from a 21-year-old guy says a lot. So.
Reed?
Thank you, Mayor. Director Coleman, Mayor Turner, thank you. It's been a privilege to serve with you all as well over these last 3 years for me. Last night, I had the honor of stepping in as vice mayor and being a part of the Girl Scout Troop 5026. And I was very impressed with the young ladies. They were learning about government, and specifically local government. I had an opportunity to speak with them about how we do and what we do and why we do. And the representation that was there, I feel like we were in very good hands with the future. These young ladies were on top of it. It was good to see that. And I do want to make known that I didn't really request Girl Scout cookies, but I will receive them if they show up. But I don't know what I can do legally, but they said they may come, but it wasn't that I requested. I just want to make that known. Concerning the city of Siloam Springs, we as a board have a tremendous opportunity to set the tone, to create the culture that is permeated throughout the city through the employees and how they feel about their work, their job, the thing they're doing. And I just want to give a word of encouragement to us as board members that in these next months and years that we can be mindful of that and just look forward to setting that tone for the great community that we do live in. I don't go out and plow the streets and things like that, but I still feel like a part of it. And I'm glad to be part of it. And through that, looking forward to the future that Siloam Springs has and the community that we will continue to be. Thank you.
Marla?
I also want to thank Director Coleman and Mayor Turner for their years of service and for helping to make Siloam a great place to live. We are very fortunate to live in one of the communities that everybody supports each other. And it's seen not only through our staff and amongst the different departments, but also within how the community gets involved with the different civic organizations and nonprofits. And I just want to say a tremendous thank you for everybody that supported the Manna Center. And, those that retired, if you need a place to volunteer, we'll take you. So, Mayor Turner, you could come see me at the Manna Center, but leave your jacket at home. Okay. So, but I just want to say how thankful I am to live in such a wonderful community, that I have the freedom to worship my Lord and Savior, and that I know the people that are involved in the community love it as much as I do. And I wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And I have to tell you about my new Christmas present. I'm going to be a new grandma any minute. So that's a good way to end 2020.
Thank you, Marla. Carol?
This is a little difficult. John, Bob, it's been a pleasure to work with you. You've both been great ambassadors for our community. You've accomplished a lot during your terms with class, integrity. It's just been a real pleasure to know you as a person, as a friend, and as a board member. We will miss you. And I know you're going to have great things to do after today. But I also want to recognize your wives, because I know what it's like to be behind the scenes when I watch my husband. So I have to commend Kathy and Kathy for being your helpmates and helping us with the city. Thank you very much. I want to congratulate Aaron, Sandy, Judge Thomas on their retirement. Merry Christmas to all of the staff of the city. Without you, this would not be Siloam Springs. We would not be able to do the things that we do. You are the biggest, the best asset the city has. I wish all of you a very Merry Christmas. I thank you, Philip, for your year-end stats. Those were very helpful. Thank you, Steve, for yours update. And put these to your family for the loss of your brother. I'd like to leave each of you with this little poem. The gifts I leave beneath your tree aren't those that you can touch or see. No toys meant just for pointless play, but gifts to bless you every day. The gift of friendship, warm and true, is one that I would leave for you. Good health and happiness and cheer to keep you smiling through the year. The gift of peace that comes from God, with prayer to guide each path you trod. And when your heart has lost its song, the gift of hope to cheer you on. These are the gifts I'd leave for you.
Carol. Brad?
Well, I'm gonna take us in a different direction, but I will end it with a positive. I requested from the city administrator the ethics complaint, and I heard Director Coleman's comments at his last meeting, and I sat down and gave it some thought, and to be as kind as I can, because I can't talk in jarhead or fireman language in this public format because it's not what we do here. But two things came to mind. Executive session. So executive session is a term for any block within an otherwise open meeting, often a board of directors, in which minutes are taken separately or not at all. Outsiders are not present, and the contents of that discussion are treated as confidential. That was violated, and that's concerning as we go into 2021. But then I realized, human nature. It's a concept that denotes fundamental disposition and characteristics. I learned this from Director Hunt. Thank you, Mindy. Your positive impact, including ways of thinking, feeling, and acting that humans are said to have naturally. And at the end of the day, as a citizen that's an elected official, we are human beings. I hope going into 2021 that the few executive sessions that we have will be treated as the definition and they have in the past. And as elected officials, we can have conversation and present that at the board. I've said it over and over, and we do our business here. This is our time to speak, right here. This is where we say it. So I've said that, and with that, I thank Director Coleman for his years of service, Mayor for your years of service, and I will say one thing about Steve. The first time I met Steve was in court. I'd been out of the military, moved back here. I had long hair, earrings. I was a nice, lost young man working at Lazy Boy. Had an 83 Datsun by Nissan, because, Nissan hadn't come out yet. I didn't have my lights on all the way, got pulled over by a police officer. He gave me a ticket. We had a cordial conversation. I told him I'd see him in court. I did show up in court. Hadn't been driving in about 4 years. Wasn't necessary when you're deployed a lot. And I told the judge, I didn't have no idea who he was. Told him my side of the story. I thought my lights were on. And he knocked that down to just a warning. And fast forward about 8 months later, the police officer showed up at the fire department, which I then had a burr and was working at the firehouse. And we had coffee together. And I brought that story up, and he was blown away. And then I met Steve about 2 years later in some city event or something, and kind of laughed about that event. So that was my first meeting with Steve. But I, on a regular occasion, try to meet with Steve. He's a man of wisdom. He's traveled the world. He has interesting stories. You're not going to hear the last of Steve. He likes to write, He's a songwriter, and he's a tell spinner, and I think you're going to hear him out there verbally somewhere, maybe on the radio somewhere in the future on some recordings. So we look forward to Steve being around a lot. So I'm going to transition now to what's happening at Memorial Park and Chautauqua Amphitheater, because that was the vision. The vision was creating spaces of quality of life. That is what is occurring right now. Now, as I've gone down there numerous times, and the more lights get added, and I think we've peaked out now, I believe. I am looking forward to the ADA compliant sidewalk with candy canes lined it, and that turning into Candy Cane Lane. It is creating a lot of chatter around town, but it is an economic development also, investing in lights. I've gone to several cities along the corridor, and we would go there, it's an event, right? Bentonville has great lights. Fayetteville has great lights. You go there, you have a meal, you take it all in. We have it better. This layout that we have in Siloam Springs, not only throughout the town, but specifically as you go down St. Nicholas Lane and look to the hillside with the gazebos, I want, and they're coming here, and I want them to spend their money here just like we do over there. And that's how we continue these things going forward. That's the positive of it. Not only us in Siloam get to enjoy it, but people in Northwest Arkansas get to enjoy it. Hopefully they'll spend the night. Maybe make a run out the casino and be so depressed the next day they have to come back downtown again for happiness. Who knows? The potential is endless. But I'm excited. I thank staff for doing that. Those lights are aging, and I'm glad we brought new life to that. So thank you very much. My family appreciates it. It's nice to get elderly parents out and to be able to drive around locally that can't make long trips, to take that in. It's just good, positive energy. And I think the snow probably helped tremendously upon that. So thank you very much. And then as long as it comes with COVID, I just ask Siloam to stay strong, support local business when you can, follow the guidelines, respectfully, place others above oneself if you struggle with a mask. And we have folks in town that struggle with that. I just would ask that if you have any ounce of Christianity inside of you, practice it in public spaces, and enjoy the holiday. And I know God will bless Siloam, and he will bless America. Thank you.
Brad. Lisa?
I want to say congratulations to Aaron and Sandy and Judge Thomas. I worked for the city years ago, and I enjoyed working with you then, and the city should be proud that you guys were city employees here. John Turner, Mayor, I'm going to say, and Bob Coleman, I do appreciate you, and I hope you know that. You both have done a lot for our community, and there's nothing negative I could say about either one of you guys. You're great individuals that have done a lot for our community. As far as our employees, I hope they feel appreciated. We have the best employees. I've worked for 2 city governments and the city of Siloam. We have very caring and compassionate employees. They're always looking out for the citizens. They care about what the citizens have to say. I appreciate anytime I email Philip, I get a quick response. And every time I've had to deal with the city employee, I've heard they're always positive. And that's very encouraging, because most of the times when I hear something from a citizen, it's kind of in a negative mode, and you guys it's hard to stay positive, but you do, and you have to have a servant's heart. I want to say thank you to Director Hunt. I think the lighting, what is it called? The decorating has done a lot for our community. I took my 4-year-old daughter out and about to look at all the lights, and I think she sang Jingle Bells so loud that the people in their houses could hear it. I guess that's her way of saying thank you. But it is needed in a time like this. And so I'm glad to see everybody out and about and enjoying the lights. And I do want to say thank you for the parade. They worked so hard on that parade, and I've seen so many negative comments, but they did the best they could, and I thought it turned out amazing. And I just hope everybody understands a lot of work went into what they did. And I hope the people that put it together don't feel frustrated from the negative comments. People are just in a position that, you know, with the COVID and everything else, we tend to be a little grouchy, but let's just love one another and overlook that, but know that you did an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Mr. Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did write a script, and it was 9 pages long. But Administrator Patterson referred to my staff, who was here with me. It's only 1 page now. So my staff has been with me for 42 years. She's kept me out of the ditch on both sides. And during this 8 years, she's been with me during the good times and the better times. So I'm thankful for that. I thank Robin Lundstrom and for her acknowledgement. And about the lights, the parks, I'm sure it had to be the Parks Department and maybe some other helps that have done that, but it's phenomenal. I came by that great big hole, Administrator Patterson. I think I saw my hat down there in the bottom of that hole. I'm not going to dig it back up, though. I do have the shovel that they gave me, which is a big, wide scoop shovel. I still have that. Heritage League, thank you so much for what you did with the parade and with Breakfast with Santa. Skeptical I was, but boy, I tell you what, they pulled it out and it was just absolutely wonderful. I want to thank the residents of Siloam Springs for your confidence and support over the last 8 years. Mayor Turner, your leadership has provided great guidance to the board, and I appreciate your service. And I think you and I can ride off into the sunset knowing that we did the very best we could for the city, with whom I have ever had the opportunity to work, for the staff and the employees. It's been an honor to work alongside of each and every one of you. To Administrator Patterson, my highest regard. I too was pleased to be on the board when you came to be our city administrator. And there's never been a moment of regret that I've had for the yes vote that I was able to give to your confirmation as an employment. You brought our city to a blessed new chapter, and I look forward to seeing your continued vision and success. To the members of the board, it's been an honor to serve with each one of you. We may not have agreed, as Director Burns has said many times, on every item that was before us, but I do have full confidence that in the very end, the best interest of our fine city were served well. Now, it wouldn't be, Bob, if I didn't leave you with something funny, so I'm going to try to get through this one as best I can. Kathy and I were having our devotional time the other day, and she started to read a quote from the book she was reading. And I chimed in and finished the quote. And she looked at me kind of funny as if to say, you're butting into my stuff here, but I did finish the quote. She kind of looked at me and I told her, I said, I know that quote because the aunt of a friend of mine used to tell 4 of us boys nearly every time we finished a club meeting at her house that very quote. I think maybe we were 11 or 12 years old at that time. Now the quote goes like this, and many of you may have heard this. As you ramble on through life, brother, whatever be your goal, keep your eye upon the donut and not upon the hole. Let me urge you as board members, move forward with the things that make our city great. That's the donut. And do not always reject those things that would take away from the plans that we've had over the years. That's the whole. I wish every one of you a Merry Christmas and thank you. And Mr. Mayor, if there's no further business, I move we adjourn.
Second. Oh, no, that's you. I'm sorry.
No, I don't second.
Somebody has to.
Did.
I did.
You did. That's for the record, you did, Carol. Congratulations. Well, like I say, it's been an honor. A lot more could be said, and I'm just proud of the opportunity that Citizens Siloam Springs gave me to serve them for these 14 years, and that some of them didn't appreciate what I did. They let me know about it. That's their right. And but I'll still say that this form of government is the best one we have for a city our size. And I will still, to this day, beg citizens, if you've got something to say about the city, get it out there where everybody can hear it, not just those on your social media post. All right? I hope we could do that. If it's worth saying, it's worth saying to everybody. I hate to leave it on a negative, so I just say I am proud of the accomplishments that have happened while I've been on the board. I didn't get to vote on for 8 years, but I got to vote on them for 6 years prior, and I got to throw in my 2 cents worth whenever I could. And again, it's been an honor and a privilege to serve with you all. But level above that is our staff. They are the little bit better than even our board. That's our staff. And the people of Siloam Springs top it all. And there you can count yourself twice now, because you get to count yourself as staff and as a citizen of this great city. And I'm proud of it, and I don't plan on leaving it unless somebody makes me, or unless I win the lottery. You got to buy a ticket to do that, and I've not bought a ticket yet. So anyway, we're about ready to go. Y'all ready to go home? We have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I'm going to say it. We are adjourned. Woo pig sui. Win.